Closing tools when we're working on cancellations. This is a priority. As a closing tool, this is a priority. Now, customers are going to look at insurance maybe as a secondary or even not as important as other bills or other decisions that they make. Simply because maybe they don't understand the consequences, or they don't understand the risk, or they don't understand how essential it is. And they do not understand that not having insurance can lead to a lot of issues, life-changing events. So your job is to use a lot of other tools to add value to the situation, to make them understand that insurance is a priority. Insurance, as a matter of fact, may be more of a priority than other bills that they have, simply because there's other bills that the worst that's going to happen is they'll stop their service, versus insurance. If you don't have insurance, you're involved in an accident, you're going to be involved in legal issues, financial issues, emotional issues, psychological issues. I mean, we're talking of a lot of different things that they don't think about because insurance to them may not be as important. So your job is to educate them, to give them information, for them to actually look at insurance completely different, and for you to add value and to make insurance a priority so that they could actually set up an appointment and they could show up to the appointment. So simply by you adding value, by you emphasizing on how critical it could be for them, simply for them not to commit to an appointment, they're going to understand that they need to treat it as important or more important than the rest of the decisions that they make. So educate the client, tell them, first of all, introduce a risk. They could get a ticket. A ticket is going to cost them $700, $1,000. Simply being involved in an accident, if they're responsible for the damages and they make damages to a vehicle that's worth $15,000, they're going to be responsible for that. If the other person had insurance, the insurance is going to go after them. We're talking of a lawsuit, and that amount, those $15,000, they're going to transfer that into an actual collection agency, and they're going to add the total of the $15,000 to the credit. So either way, he's going to have to pay that one day or another. Either they do it today, or it's going to be on their credit for a very long time until they actually clear that. Also, being responsible for, maybe a license being suspended, because if you're involved in an accident without insurance, then your license could be suspended for a year. So all of these things are going to make a difference. All of these things are going to create urgency. We call it fear motivation. They're going to motivate them to make a decision. And this is how you're going to add value. And this is how you're going to transfer insurance from being secondary or not as important into being a priority, and for them to actually setting up an appointment for them to show up today. So you're going to tell them, sir, I completely understand that you're busy. Matter of fact, we're all busy. Every single customer that I call gives me the same response. We're busy. And I completely understand. First of all, I appreciate the time you're giving me. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm actually glad I got a hold of you, because now I have an opportunity to actually share a couple things and to help you. See, I can only help you if I have you on the phone. And of course, if you make it to the office. Now, let me just share something with you. Insurance may not be a priority today simply because you're not looking at the overall picture of insurance. And matter of fact, this is something that I was sharing with another customer, and they agreed. Sometimes we don't look at insurance as a priority. Maybe it's a secondary on our list, or sometimes it's not as important as it should. But let me just share something with you. Now, there's a concept that I use that I call life-changing decision, which equals a life-changing event. Now, if you do not have insurance, forget about a ticket at this point. That's only going to cost you $1,000. I'm pretty sure you have $1,000 somewhere at home to spare. But no, I'm just kidding. But let's talk about an accident. Now, just let me give you a scenario, and I don't mean to exaggerate, but this is realistic, and it's happened to a few customers already. Now, if you're involved in an accident, just imagine hitting a vehicle, okay? We're not talking of a vehicle that's worth $100,000, but we're talking of a vehicle that's worth $15,000. Let's say you get involved in an accident, you make damages to this car that's worth $15,000 and is determined to be a total loss. So that means you're going to be responsible for those $15,000. Now, let me share something with you. If the other driver had insurance, their policy is going to cover the accident. The insurance is going to go after you, and they're going to send that balance of $15,000 to a collection agency until you actually pay it. It's going to be added to your credit, so it's going to ruin your credit score. It's going to make things a lot difficult. So this is a life-changing event. Now, on top of that, if they don't have insurance, then they could possibly put a small claim and take you to court, and you're going to be responsible to pay that amount, and your license will be suspended until you actually pay it off. That's one of the consequences of going through court. Now, ultimately, being involved in an accident, that means without insurance, your license is automatically suspended. So we're looking at a lot of different things. This is a life-changing event. So I want you to look at the insurance as a priority. I want you to understand that if something happens, you're going to be in trouble. I want you to understand that if you put yourself in this position, you're going to regret not making a decision sooner. Simply by me giving you a bit of information today, it gives you the knowledge, it gives you the opportunity of taking care of this before you're involved in that situation. Now, once again, insurance, possibly before I called you, was not as important, but I want insurance to be as a priority, more important than a lot of other bills, because, see, there's a couple bills like cell phone, cable, even rent, for example. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to charge you a late fee. Charge you maybe $30, $40, 5%, whatever it is. But if you're involved in an accident, if you don't take care of your insurance, this could actually change your whole lifestyle for a couple months, a couple years, because it just depends on how critical the situation was. So my goal is to give you all the information, for you to know everything, for you to have all the pros and cons, and you could actually make a decision based on that. So once again, insurance is a priority. I want you to make a decision on setting up an appointment immediately. Why don't we do this? I have an appointment available, an opening at 5 or 7. What works for you better? Use this tool. That's just an example of another closing tool that we use to make it a priority. You could use a couple other tools. The most important thing is for them to understand that it wasn't a priority before. It could have been secondary, not as important, but it has to be a priority now, because you're giving them the information, you're giving them the knowledge, you're giving them the opportunity to understand how critical their situation could be if they're involved in an accident. You're planting the seed of the risk becoming a reality, making it realistic, you're making it tangible. So that should be more than enough to motivate them to actually set up an appointment as soon as possible. Not tomorrow, but today. Use this tool to set up an appointment, emphasize on today only, and set them up as soon as possible.